Hi. I don't know how you're feeling today. If you're feeling up or down or happy or sad. Whatever you're feeling, I don't have to know to be glad that you're here. As it happens, I also don't know how these bees are feeling. I have noticed that bees really move. Have you ever watched them in a place where there's a lot of flowers? They go from one to the other continuously. They get what they can out of this one, they get what they can out of that one, move on. In general, these kinds of bees that you could watch in a garden are referred to as worker bees because as they pollinate, they're doing their part to help the hive, which means that when you see a bee in a garden, you're seeing her at work, doing her job. Did you know, though, that bees also experience pleasure as they explore the plants they pollinate? They actually respond differently, with greater levels of happiness and pleasure to some plants as opposed to others, and they get more excited to move faster and find more of that more exciting kind of plant when they feel that response. I don't know exactly how you're feeling today, but I bet you're like bees. That there are things you like in life that bring you greater pleasure and therefore more motivation to do those things, or things that are like those things, more often. And like bees, I bet you find yourself flitting from one thing to the next sometimes, only to realize that the pursuit of something that feels good has become nothing more than the drone of work. Another show to watch, another hobby to try, another game to play, another shoe to get, another toy to buy, another thrill to experience, and on, and on. Bees can't pray about this, but you can. Here is a prayer written by Augustine, one of those old church fathers who wrote in the early days of Christianity. In this prayer, he prays for help when he finds himself lost in that pursuit of pleasure and enjoyment. Pray it with me. Far be it, Lord. Far be it from the heart of your servant who confesses to you. Far be it from me to think that enjoyment of any and every kind could make me happy. A joy there is that is not granted to the godless, but to those only who worship you, without looking for reward, because you yourself are their joy. This is the happy life, and this alone, to rejoice in you, about you, and because of you. This is the life of happiness, and it is not to be found anywhere else. Whoever thinks there can be some other is chasing a joy that is not the true one. Yet, such a person's will has not turned away from all notion of joy. Amen. God hears you in this prayer, as he has heard every person from every generation before you who wanted to find a way out of the buzzing, droning, dizzying pursuit of pleasure. A pretty great summary of God's response to this prayer is actually given in 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 through 10. And there's a lot that can be said about this section of the Bible, but for now, listen just to the verses 3 and 4. And know that God has a plan for getting you out of this and into something much better. This is 2 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 and 4, from a translation of the Bible called the New Living Translation. By His divine power, God has given us everything we need for living a godly life. We have received all of this by coming to know Him, the one who called us to Himself by means of His marvelous glory and excellence. And because of His glory and excellence, He has given us great and precious promises. These are the promises that enable you to share His divine nature and escape the world's corruption caused by human desires. All right, we're going to change gears a bit here into let's call it a guided visualization. It's not just a thing about calming down. It's a way of giving yourself some time and space to see things a little differently. So, if you feel comfortable doing so, close your eyes and just imagine with me. First, I'd like you to see nothing but listen and consider the ambient noises of life. The buzzing of the bees, as it were. Those interpersonal collisions and distractions and pressures and the constant hum of societal expectations and things that are going on all around you that come in and come in and come in and you don't always get to control. I mean, if all these noises are a symphony, it is a chaotic symphony. But, maybe it's just chaotic, right? Now, use your imagination, and I want you to picture those noises and those sources of the buzz and the chaos as individual seats on a large spinning carousel. You can, I assume, picture a carousel. Usually there are like circus animals on poles that go up and down as you ride around. So I want you to picture a carousel, but on this one, the animals are replaced with these things that want your attention. Things that promise they'll give you some version of satisfaction or enjoyment or pleasure. Another show, another hobby, another game, another shoe, another toy, another thrill, another promotion, another vacation, another, and another, and on. And you are on this carousel, and it is spinning, and you are climbing from one thing to another, trying to find a good one, all the while getting dizzy and frankly starting to feel kind of sick. There's this verse in Psalm 46 that says, "Be still and know that I am God." There's an invitation in there to shift your focus from these attention-grabbing things to simpler ones, from the loud and boisterous to the quiet and clear. So let's imagine yourself now doing that. You're focusing your eyes off of the carousel. You're stepping off of any of these things. You're stepping now off of the carousel. You're catching your balance as you figure out what it's like to be on non-spinning surfaces. You start to take one step after another away, and the sounds and the cacophony and the music of the carousel get quieter, quieter, and quieter. You can now hear and feel your breath in a way you couldn't before. And as you walk, you come to a lone park bench. It is positioned facing away from the carousel, and it looks out on a view that's nothing too crazy. A hill, a distant city, and there's someone sitting on the bench, and they've left plenty of space for you to sit there too. Go ahead and have a seat. And as you're catching your breath, the person next to you on the bench, who is, of course, God, elbows you gently and points at something on the hill. Nothing too exciting, a child playing or a butterfly, something nice. After a little while, God stands up and turns and offers you a hand. And you know that when you take that hand, the two of you are going to head back to the carousel. Part of you doesn't want to get back on. But your family is there, and your friends, and your neighbors. And so, just like last time, you look up at God, and He gives you one of those looks that says, well, here we go. And you grab His hand, the two of you walk, and 3, 2, 1, jump back together into the spin. And it's okay. It's okay to be there on the carousel because you know God's there too, and you know that if you're ever not sure, well, there's always the park bench.
Thou my vision, O Lord of my heart, not be all else to me save that Thou art. Thou my best Lord, by day or by night, waking or sleeping, Thy presence my life. Be Thou my wisdom, and Thou my true word. I ever with Thee, and Thou with me, Lord. Thou my great Father, and I Thy true Son. Thou in me dwelling, and I with Thee one. Be Thou my battle shield, sword for the fight. Be Thou my dignity, Thou my delight. Thou my soul shelter, and Thou my high tower. Raise Thou me heavenward, O power of my power.
By His divine power, God has given us everything we need for living a godly life. We have received all of this by coming to know Him, the one who called us to Himself by means of His marvelous glory and excellence. And because of His glory and excellence, He has given us great and precious promises. These are the promises that enable you to share His divine nature and escape the world's corruption caused by human desires.
Riches I heed not, nor man's empty praise. Thou mine inheritance, now and always. Thou and Thou only, the first in my heart. High King of heaven, my treasure thou art.
There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her, and she will not fall. God will help her at break of day.
High King of heaven, my victory won. May I reach heaven's joys, oh bright heaven's sun. Heart of my own heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, oh ruler of all. Oh
He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress.